Hello and welcome back to the Stationary Dev, and today we're doing a currently inked pens for December. Now I know that December is almost over for me, probably already over when this video goes out. So we can kind of take it more of a pens and inks I've been using in December. Hopefully I can kind of get back on track and more preemptive in terms of the currently inked or the inked for the month coming up rather than the ink for the month that just passed. But here we go. These are the four that we're starting out with. So just a quick rundown: the Pilot Custom Heritage 92, the Pilot Decimo, a Lami Studio. This one has a 14 karat gold nib, and an Esterbrook. This is a vintage Esterbrook SJ or JS. I think it's SJ. Yeah, this one's probably an almost 80-year-old pen from the 40s. Yeah, these are the ones. So we're going to get into it. Let me get our handy dandy Taroko book that I do my currently inks in. And this has the old stock Tomoe River paper and the 68 GSM variety. So there was our November ones, and we'll do the ones for this year. Let's start it out then, I guess, with the first pen, which is the Pilot Custom Heritage 92. This is in the soon to be gone, if not already gone, blue demonstrator version, or the blue color. They're all demonstrators, but they're eliminating the blue and the black that they had left, and they're just going to all clear for the Custom Heritage 92s, which the clear one still looks good, but I decided to get the blue one while I could. And this one has been excellent. I got it for a really good deal. There's a video review of it already out there for you if you're curious about the actual pen and details and stuff there. So this is currently inked for December 2024. First one is a Pilot Custom Heritage 92. It has a fine 14 karat gold nib that's super smooth. So it's just been as you can see, I've emptied out most of the ink out of there. These feel, the good thing about the Custom Heritage 92s is the plunger, the piston goes all the way down to the feed, so you get a really full fill. So this whole thing was filled up, and I've written through it a lot. I've used it for letters and longer form writing and journaling and quick notes as well, and it's good for everything. It has a really beautiful number 5 rhodium plated 14 karat gold nib there. That's been really great. The fine, have no issues with it at all. It's nice and wet, even with this slightly drier leaning ink, which is the Graphon Faber-Castell India Red ink. Just a good down the middle, no nonsense red ink. Performs well. Like I said, it's drier leaning in terms of, like, I guess, the viscosity of the ink, but it puts down plenty of ink in this pen. Really writes smooth. The Pilot nibs have just, even the 14 karat ones have a little bit of bounce to them. No flex or anything, but they do have a little bit of that kind of cushioned feeling there. I'm going to try and get you a little closer. We'll do a quick swab. This is what the ink bottles look like from Graf on Faber-Castell. They come in these giant 75 milliliter ink bottles that look amazing on your desk. They are a chunk of glass. They have this shiny metal-esque cap with their logo and crest and all that stuff on it. Really nice looking ink bottles, and the color there is actually pretty representative of the actual color of the ink. So let me give this a quick swab. And if I can't destroy my desk. This ink has been really good. Like I said, really smooth. I've been really impressed with it. The color's been exactly what I want out of it. It's a nice right down the middle red. It doesn't lean orange. It doesn't lean pink. It doesn't lean magenta or brown or anything weird. It's just a red. It is a little on the unsaturated side, which I actually like. It's easy on the eyes. It's sort of a calming red for me to write in, and looks really great. I've been using it to write, you know, holiday letters and pen pal letters and stuff to kind of evoke the holiday theme for being red, and it just goes down great. Not much shading, but just a straight up red that works well, that's a readable, easy on the eyes. Really loved this combination this month. Next up, similar in the holiday vein, is this Pilot Decimo. This has been my workhorse sort of daily driver pen. I love the Decimo shape and feel. I love the finish of this pen with the sparkly red. It just looks really good, feels really good. I like the Decimo shape better than the Vanishing Point shape, the full-size shape, because I just feel I have a lot more control with the clip and everything. I can write a lot better, more accurate, a lot more in my handwriting style. I feel like the regular size one gets a little unwieldy for me, and my writing just turns out weird for some reason, but this one's been really nice. Now, I have had one weird thing with this pen, and it's when I undo it. You can see at the bottom of the feed there's like a blob of ink that's running out there, and if I unclip it and click it again, it gets wetter. And if I unclick it and click it again, it gets even wetter. And I noticed it was doing this because I clicked it once, and we'll see if it does it. No, it's not going to do it. But a little splotch of ink. Maybe that was it right there. Yep, that's it. So you can see a little splotch of ink, and I just got ink on my finger, but a little splotch of green ink came out when I clicked it. And I noticed it did that on the page. I was like, that's weird. Where'd that ink come from? And then I clicked it again and noticed that it did that. And so that's why. I'm not sure if it's because I think it's the trap. I don't think the feed is cracked or anything. I think maybe the trap door that the Vanishing Point uses for some reason is like pushing on the nib and the feed too much, and it's letting some ink run down it and causing that over wetness. But I love the writing. It's super wet writer, just like the Vanishing Point is. And the extra fine is exactly what I was looking for. I have the fine in my Vanishing Point. I always wished I would have gotten an extra fine, and this is perfect. It's a little bit feedbacky, a little bit needly, but with this ink combo, it works out really good, and it's very, it's feedbacky, but it's smooth. You know, it's got that needle kind of feeling, but it's very smooth. The ink is Tasha Midori. Once again, green ink with the red pen, just has the holiday vibes. The Midori ink was another search for a straight down the middle color, so it's just a green. It doesn't lean to another color or anything. It is very wet, especially in this combination. Even with the extra fine needle tip kind of pen, it writes extremely wet. What I was saying on the pen though, while I get this ink bottle out, I did actually email Pilot, and they forwarded me to Namiki, and Namiki said I could send it to them, and they would take a look at it and see if it needed any fixing or if it was working as intended. This is the Tasha ink bottles here. Really good, simple design. Just says Tasha fountain pen ink. I do like that they have the sticker with the color and the name of the ink on the top, so they do that part for you. Really functional bottles, wide top, so you can get any pen in there. But yeah, Namiki said, just send it to us, send it to this address, put this label on the box and attention to here, and we'll take a look at it and see if it needs any work or not, and we'll let you know. But the turnaround time for that, they said, is around like 8 weeks. So I'd have to kiss this pen goodbye for 8 weeks. If I want to send it in, I might go ahead and do it just to make sure that it's working fine, because, that might get annoying with ink splotching out. It only does it if I click it a couple times, though. The first time I click it, it doesn't do it. But if I'm like taking quick notes and I'm like clicking it, then it kind of starts to do that and get a really wet nib. So I want to make sure it's working right. So I might, and that'll be just a topic we can cover here on the channel too, is pilot customer service, and see how that whole process goes. So I might actually send that out next week and see how that goes. But an 8-week turnaround time is pretty crazy. But most people that I've seen that go through the process of pilot customer service say that they're not great about providing updates, but they are really good about fixing the pens, and they'll just like fix it and it'll just show up at your door with kind of no notice. But they'll take care of it. But it does have that kind of long turnaround time. Which is the only thing I'm worried about there. I don't think they would charge me for anything if anything needed to actually be fixed, because it's a brand new pen. But we'll see. So I'll keep y'all updated on that one. Next one is another new to me pen. It is the Lami Studio. This is in the Palladium, I think they call it, finish. And this actually has a 14 karat gold nib, if we can get a good view on that. So 14 karat gold extra fine. It says extra fine. I think they meant for it to be an extra fine, but it writes like a medium, and you'll probably see that. It writes super wet and super broad and super juicy, and it is not extra fine, but I still love it because it's like writing with a felt tip marker almost. I also like that the Palladium finish on this 14 karat gold bottle has a I guess sand bead blasted or whatever, this matte section, so it's not the smooth polished section that they usually come with. Although I don't think it would be a problem with the way I hold the pen and use the pen. I don't think it would have been a problem, but just something I don't have to worry about. Looks really fine. It's a really comfortable pen. I can write a lot with this pen. This is probably my favorite combo so far that I've just been super impressed with the build quality. Once again, there's a video review of this one up, but the follow-up is I still absolutely love it. It's a great design pen. It feels great to write with. It's well balanced. It's well made. The uncapping is just super smooth. Cartridge converter pen. You can see I've written with it a lot. But yeah, feels really good. It's Lami Studio. Misspelt. It's that. It's a 14 karat gold. Extra. I'll just spell it out. Fine, you can see it's writing super wet with this Scribo ink. This is Scribo Grigio. Scribo. So Scribo Gray, this is sort of their company color or their brand color, I guess. So it's Scribo Gray. It's what all their boxes are colored and stuff like that. But really great shading ink. Goes down, at least in this pen, goes down extraordinarily wet. But this one is a super shader. So if you're looking for a great shading gray ink, this one is also an interesting gray ink. So it's very readable, as you can see. Goes down dark. It's very readable. It's sort of like a blue teal leaning gray. Could probably pass for a blue black if you really wanted to convince me. Comes in these ginormous 90 milliliter bottles. Literally jam jars. I'll have a review of this one up as well. But these are literally jam jars. They are murder weapons. They are giant, thick cubes of glass that are stackable. But really great ink. I said it in the video review of this ink, but I think Scribo inks are probably the most underrated ink brand out there, in my opinion, because everyone that I've tried by them has been outstanding. And Scribo Blue Cosmico is in my top 3 favorite inks of all time. So I hold them in high regard. They have really interesting colors, really great packaging and design, and yeah, and they're a little bit on an expensive side if you're just looking at the price of a bottle, which runs from like $30 to $40, but price per milliliter, it's actually cheaper than a lot of inks, including, you know, Palo Rocha and stuff like that. It's actually a really competitive price. But you can see already insane shading from this ink and a really beautiful color. I hope this one dries down in time for us to really see what it can do. That brings us to the last pen. This is the vintage Esterbrook SJ. You can see it there. This is in the rarer copper color, which is also referred to as root beer, but a really nice color pen. I got this fully restored from Brian Anderson at Anderson Pens, and this one is from the late 40s, so it's almost 80 years old now, but just works fantastic. You'll notice if you watched the review of this pen that I actually have a different size nib in this. So this is the Esterbrook SJ. It's vintage, and this one has, I'll get the, maybe we'll get the camera to help us out. This has a 2550 nib, which is their sort of standard series, and this is an extra fine nib. The nib that it came with was, sorry, writing and talking, extra fine 2550. The nib that it actually came with was actually a 2556, which was a regular fine, but I actually kind of jacked that nib up because I was kind of messing with it and you know, jacking with it. I didn't know really what I was doing, but I messed it up, which is fine because these nibs for the Esterbrook J's, once again, if you're curious about vintage pens, I would highly recommend an Esterbrook J because they're indestructible, and if you do happen to mess something up, the parts and stuff are so abundant and out there so much and so cheap that it's really easy to just get. So these nib units for the Esterbrook J's are abundant and they're cheap, and I got a new old stock in the box. Where do I have it? Here's the actual box that it came with. This is the vintage. This is how it was made, how it came from the factory. And it's actually technically listed as a posting nib, which is interesting. But firm, extra fine, new old stock in the box, shipped to me for, I think it was $12 or $13 for the nib. And they have a whole catalog of different nibs, including like shorthand nibs and italics and stums and bookkeeping nibs and posting and Waverly and all of the crazy nib options you would want, and really, really affordable. And you just literally unscrew it and screw the new one in. And you can have a couple different nibs and literally just change them on the fly by just unscrewing and screwing the nib back in. The whole nib unit comes as one thing. So it's super dummy proof and super easy to do. And I love this extra fine posting nib. It's very feedbacky, but it's really fun. And I plan to get, this is just I think their 1000 and 2000 series is sort of like their baseline series. This is a dirty nib. They also have like a 9000 series, which is sort of their iridium tipped nibs. They're sort of like their more premium options. Once again, still like $20 to $30 for the whole nib unit for one of those. And so I really want to test one of those out just to see the difference between their like baseline and what they call like their premium kind of offering there. This is just inked with the go-to Pelikan 4001 Royal Blue. This pen writes very wet. I believe it has an ebonite feed, but writes very wet, even in this sort of really, really fine, extra fine posting, you know, bookkeeping kind of style nib. It writes really well. Took a little bit of tuning out of the box to get it kind of where it was writing really, really dry, and I knew that wasn't right, and so it took a little bit of tuning, but I got it writing perfectly now. Here is what the 4001 bottles look like. This one looks a little bit different because this was like one of their anniversary styles for the 4001 Royal Blue. But this is the 60 milliliter, or I guess the 62.5 milliliter 2 ounce bottles. I love the 4001 series. I think it's hard to go wrong with any of them. I also don't mind dry writing inks though, but every 4001 ink that I've used has been great, and I use them all frequently. They're probably some of my most used inks if we're talking about like a line of inks. The 4001s are great, and the Royal Blue is great. The brown is great. The Blue Black. I even like the Brilliant Black a lot. It's one of my favorite black inks because it's just no nonsense. But highly recommend the 4001 if you just want an everyday driver. Just go to ink. And don't mind dry inks. Don't mind actually like feeling the paper. And they, as you see, they flow really good. So dry just kind of refers to the viscosity of the ink. It's not actually like how much ink goes down on the page. I try to clear that up when I can, but you can see really good combination there, and super easy on vintage pens. Even though I'm not, once again, I'm not worried about, you know, what ink I put in this pen, because it's fully restored, number one, and it'll last. It's taken a beating. It's lasted 80 years. It'll continue to last no matter what I put in it. All right, to review. Here's our inks. These are our holiday-y ones. Starting out with the Faber-Castell India Red. You can see it's just a straight red. It doesn't lean one way or the other, even when it goes to the more unsaturated, lighter application side. It's still red. It doesn't lean pink or orange or anything weird. No real shading, no sheen. Just a good red, and it's easy on the eyes. It doesn't hurt your eyes or isn't super bright. It's a little unsaturated. But I like that. It's really nice red. Once again, I've used it for letter writing and pen pals and stuff like that, and really impressed. Tasha Midori and the Pilot Desmo, a really great combination. I'm going to get the nib, the pen looked at. It still functions perfectly. It's just a little annoying that those little specks come out sometimes. So I either have to be careful when I undo it or just send it in and bite the bullet there. The green ink, though, is amazing. Once again, it's just straight green. It doesn't lean blue or teal or anything yellow, even in the lighter sections. You can get a little bit of shading out of it, as you can see there, but not a ton. It's really a good office green ink if you want a green ink for the office, and it beats the ballpoint green ink, which is always a horrible color. But yeah, really impressed by it. The Lami Studio with the Scribo Grigio is probably the all-star combo this month. That shading is outrageous. You can see in the swab, you even have the haloing with the dark outline there. The dark haloing with the crazy shading from the lighter to the darker, and all of that stuff comes out in the writing. This is a wet nib, but it's an extra fine nib, and you still get all of that crazy shading, and it looks amazing. Yeah, I knew I had to have that one as soon as I saw it. It actually, I bought a Scribo pen that came with a handwritten letter, and the ink that they used in that letter was Scribo Grigio, and that's what sold me on the actual ink as well. I was like, I gotta have that one because that looks really great in a letter as well. And then last but definitely not least is the Esterbrook SJ, Pelikan 4001 Royal Blue, a wet writer, and the extra fine even, with that sort of ebonite feed and the lever fill. It makes the Pelikan 4001 Royal Blue look really good, even though it doesn't need much help. It's just a really great ink, has a little bit of sheen when it goes down, really heavy, as you can start to see there as that dries out, but really great combo. So I've been really pleased with all of these pens this month. I love my spread here. It's worked out really great for me. Yeah, I don't have much to complain about other than I'm going to get the Decimo looked at and see how that goes. That might be a big regret, but we'll see. Other than that, super pleased and also super stoked because I got a lot of new things and a lot of fun things coming for the January currently inked as well. I have a lot of new pens and some new inks and stuff lined up for that too. So I'm really, really stoked for it. If you've made it this far, please give it a like and a subscribe if you don't mind. Let me know any questions or comments or concerns that you have in the comment section below. I'll get back with you there. Let me know what inks you have in your holiday list. I like having a red and a green and kind of a wintry gray kind of look, even a blue to kind of give me that winter vibe. These are my holiday inks. Let me know what you have inked up, what you've been using for the month of December, and what you have going into January. Because what are your New Year's inks? What do you write with in January? Let me know. And until next time, I'll catch you guys later.